Hey book people! Welcome back to my channel. First, just a heads up that Keeping Kinley is on promotion for 99 cents and the Songs for Libby pre-order is up on Amazon, so go check those out. Now, on to the topic of the day. Several months ago, I took part in an author panel, and one of the questions that was asked of us was how we keep our stories new and fresh. And the answer that I came up with was the simple fact that my plots are driven by my characters, and I try to make my characters human. And we as humans tend to be new and fresh. There are billions of people on this earth, and we all live unique lives because each day is filled with thousands of decisions to be made, whether big or small. And each of those decisions is going to affect the course of our lives, whether drastically or incrementally. One of the common questions that writers tend to ask each other is whether you're a plotter or a pantser. Meaning, do you write an outline and plot out your story and stick with it as you go through the writing? Or do you start with some vague idea and end up writing by the seat of your pants, aka pantsing? I happen to be fully on board with pantsing my writing. I love going into a scene and letting my characters tell me where to go. They often make decisions that are much more interesting than the ones I might have vaguely had in mind before. That's the beauty of being human. We are such complex characters, capable of making wonderful and terrible and drastic and brave and sometimes foolhardy decisions. As much as we might try to map out our lives beforehand, there are always going to be twists and turns, pains and triumphs, whether because of our own decisions or because of circumstances beyond our control. So how do I keep my plots fresh? I let my characters be human, and we humans tend to be messy. And those messy human characters are one of the reasons that I adore the new adaptation of Little Women. Though it isn't flawless, the jumping back and forth between present and past got a little bit jarring and hard to follow near the end. I think it did a brilliant job of portraying the humanity of the characters. The characters came across not just as characters, but as people. The problem with a lot of period pieces is that we tend to filter the characters through the filter of the time period instead of simply letting those characters exist in the time period. We have this idea that there were all these social rules back in the day and that everyone followed them, but is that really realistic? No. There are plenty of people today that say thank you but no thank you to the rules of society, and we should expect that throughout history, those same personalities existed. Louisa May Alcott was a woman raised by revolutionary parents. They were abolitionists and even harbored a runaway slave at one point. Her mother was a feminist and instilled in her daughters the desire to right the wrongs of society. And since Little Women parallels Louisa's life in many ways, we can expect that those characters would have that same desire. That they would not sit idly by and simply let society tell them what to do and how to act. So I truly appreciated how each sister, and really all the characters, were given fully rounded personalities and individual motives that drove their actions. Beth is quiet, and still the hardest to get to know in this version, but I love the relationship between her and Joe. There was give and take there. There was teasing and gentle prodding from Beth, and when she was just with her sisters, she let her guard down and was able to be completely silly with them because they were her safe place. Meg was much more multifaceted than I've ever seen her portrayed in movies before. She wanted the nice thing. She wanted to be pretty. She loved fashion. And that love ended up butting up against the fact that she didn't have much in her life. Her relationship with John was strained and they had difficulties. That was much more true to the book than I'd ever seen before. And once again, it made Meg a fully rounded character instead of just a backdrop for Joe's story. I loved Amy in this one. I was really not a fan of how she was portrayed in the 1994 version of the movie. In this new adaptation, she wasn't portrayed as snooty and uppity, but simply as a woman who knew her own mind and wasn't afraid to speak it. She didn't look down on Laurie and consider herself above him. She adored him. She'd been in love with him for years, and she hated seeing him squander his potential. So she says so to his face. She's practical at the same time that she's passionate. She demonstrates so perfectly the plight of women at that time. Yes, she wants to marry for money, and she so eloquently explains why. Jo, of course, is the rule breaker. She's constantly defying society. She wears comfortable and almost androgynous clothing. No corsets for her. She and Laurie even exchange vests throughout the movie. They have a brother-sister bond. They love each other, enjoy each other's company, but not as lovers. Their fun and playfulness, especially the dancing scene, is so filled with personality. And the honesty and vulnerability shown by Jo when she tries to explain the dichotomy of truly not wanting to marry while at the same time being desperately lonely is so profound. Humans aren't simple. Our emotions aren't simple. And these characters are portrayed as humans living lives instead of characters filling a role. Their mother isn't portrayed as perfect. No one is portrayed as perfect. They are all beautifully flawed. Three-dimensional, multifaceted, complicated, good and bad and lovely and ugly, just like all characters should be. So what did you guys think of the movie? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Was it Let me know in the comments. And as always, hop over to my channel, see if there's something that interests you. If you're interested in characterization, I've already done several videos on that topic. And if you're interested in the audiobook version of Just Ella that I recorded, it's in a chapter-by-chapter playlist found here.